So imagine the time before language, when there was people could communicate just like their thoughts. They actually could communicate without speaking or writing, and they were like in tune with the ether, so they could like share information with each other without the devices we use now, you know. So that's how it starts out, where like humans didn't have no formal written or spoken language, you know. They needed language, you know, in order to take control, you know, the archons. They needed to have, you know, written languages and stuff, because without written languages you couldn't make laws and stuff. And you know, just the act of like, you know, understanding the code, which is the alphabet, right? And then you can write something down, and then, you know, you could send it to the other side of the world, you know, with an email, or you could write it on a piece of paper, send it, throw it in a bottle, somebody finds it and reads it, and they understand your idea. You know, that was a form of magic. The idea of sigil magic is you could take and write down something that you desire or whatever, you know, something that you know you want, your outcome that you want to have effect. Write it down on a piece of paper. This is one idea I heard of. Take this piece of paper, and you take it in. You take the letters and remove all the consonants, or remove the vowels, and then remove any letters that repeat themselves, and then take the letters that are left over and make them into a picture or symbol. The idea, and then you promote that symbol, which is like, you know, like corporate, you know, like the corporate logos and stuff. The Nike swoosh, you know, the McDonald's emblem. They're all. It's kind of like sigil magic, you know, like the written spoken language was the first step, the second step, and then from there it went to the where, you know, to the press, you know, where there was like mass produced ideas and put them out there to. Then from there, like the next step was the radio. You know, that was invented, and they started putting ideas out on the radio to spread information, you know. And then from there, the TV was invented. Well, TV is a big thing in this whole idea I'm talking about here. Is, you know, there's like three ways that they use television to control people's minds. I think is like they use one thing is the flicker rate. Woohoo, dingo! Of the TV kind of puts you into a trance, right? So there's the flicker rate of the TV, which is even greater now with HD and stuff. And then, so that's one way that the flicker rate of the TV puts you into a trance. And the second way it controls your mind is through the sigils, and the mnemonics. Well, that brings us to mnemonics. So mnemonics is like, you know, it's like a trick. They flash these graphics in front of your face. Well, you know, you don't really catch them. You know, your conscious mind doesn't really record them too well, but you see them. But they usually flash them at you so fast, and then by the time you really look at them, they're gone. And it comes with this, usually with this kind of sound effect. You know, I'm sure you've all seen it. But, and that's just, and what I'm understanding about that is that it's done to put you into like a trance, you know. So like they can, you know, deliver the programming basically. I think we got us a labradoodle here. So yeah, anyways, where was I? What was I talking about? The mnemonic symbols on the TV? Yeah. And I totally forgot where I was, that stupid dog. But no, I just thought it was an interesting subject to make a video on, you know, because I've just been finding out about it, and there's not too much out there on it, you know. There's not a lot of, if you go on YouTube, there's not a lot of videos on it. There's a few, and there's some really good ones. But no, it's like how all this relates to today. Well, if you notice now, you know, people are just really, really into their electronic devices everywhere they go. You know, they're either texting, or they're talking on the phone, or, you know, they're constantly plugged in. Well, the idea is that what's going on is they're being assimilated into, like, the Borg, basically, is what's going on. Is that as these people become more and more, you know, into their devices, that they're constantly, and then they could become less in tune with the real world, you know. It's like, wow, that's, if you look at it, everywhere I go, all these kids, you know, they're always constantly, my nephews come and visit me, and they're just constantly, all they're doing is on their iPads and iPods, and just, you know, they're locked into this virtual world, you know. And it's like they're being it's like that Star Trek movie where you got to be assimilated into the Borg. It really is like that, and that's where it's all leading to. It's like I get, as I start finding out this stuff out, you know, I'm like, wow, and I'm like starting to lose interest in my electronics devices, and not use them as much as I used to. Now, you know, I'm like finding out that those things are really leading me down the path to assimilation. The more time I spend with, you know, on my electronic devices and stuff, you know, the less time I'm attached with the real world. Well, I go farther and farther down that road to where I become assimilated, and, you know, there's no turning back. Basically, you become, basically, it's a road to becoming an archon. You know, what the archons are doing is, once they inhabit, you know, what they're doing is they're creating new archons. You know, they created all this language and all this, and I think the end result is to turn human souls into new archons that can go out and infest the rest of the galaxy. It's kind of interesting. And it's, Dingo, come here. Good boy. Stay. And then also, what they're doing is just through this process is just basically what's going on is that they're corrupting people's souls so that they never figure out what's going on, and they end up never ascending. You know, it's kind of like going to heaven in the New Age idea. Well, instead of going, what you do is you escape. You know, you escape out of this solar system and become like, you know, a new entity, and it's free. But in order to do that, you got to figure this shit out, because these evil things are trying to hold us in, and they want to, because, like I said on my last video, they feed off our negative energy. Well, they need the souls here to feed off of, and if they don't have them, you know, they'll cease to exist. So they want to keep as many souls trapped here on Earth as they can, in order to have, you know, food, basically. So that the fewer people that ascend and are able to escape, the more the food for them, basically, is what it is. So, you know, you can look at it like hell, you know, spending eternity in hell if you get trapped here. There's no way out. Eventually, these archons will feed off your negative energy for eternity. And I think that's... None of that was possible before... Bingo. None of that was possible before sigil magic and language. You know, didn't have language. Our pineal glands were open. Was the thing that I forgot to mention before. And this whole process with these things have been closing our pineal glands up, which is our third eye. And that's a big part of the story. Is in the ancient humans, their pineal gland was wide open. You know, they were in tune with the ether. You know, their internet was the ether. You know, they were in touch with the whole universe. They could communicate and get ideas, and they didn't need language. And this whole sigil magic started. Anyway, that's what I think happened.
Yeah, so basically this whole sigil, it all comes down now to like these massive computer programs and stuff which are like the ultimate in sigil magic. There's millions and millions of lines of code to make these computers work and stuff. And that's like what it's come to, you know, from the basic start of writing down a basic symbol to millions of lines of computer code. And the whole story in between. Pretty fascinating stuff.